and said, what exactly am I supposed to be?
You're just going to sit here and let him make his presentation.
Supposed to be looking at? That's what he told me.
But I was diligent today, because I went through each one of them, so I'm gonna make sure everyone.
And the only reason I was stressing was because I had just finished the citizen planner course through the online, so it was like,
Yeah.
I need to go through that again, actually. He can sit wherever he wants.
Well, no, his name's next.
Rich, stop being a disruptor.
Should be here.
She's not here.
Okay, so are you upstairs up here?
he's gonna join the in-group.
We're blowing some togetherness. All right, let's get John out so we can roll.
And I do have your speakers on.
I'd like to call to order the special meeting for the Planning Commission for the City of Eastpointe, Thursday, January 23rd, 2025. Secretary, please call the roll.
Welcome, and Mrs. Hall Rayford.
Here.
Alex?
Here.
Ms. Moody?
Here.
Mr. Sasek?
Here.
Ms. Ulinski here, and Chairman DeHunt.
Here. Move on to the approval of the agenda. May I get a motion for the approval of the agenda, please?
I make a motion to approve the agenda for Thursday, January 23rd, 2025.
We have motion. Do we have support? We have motion and support. Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Moody?
Yes.
Mr. Sasek?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall Rayford?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Ms. Ulinski, yes. Chairman DeHunt?
Yes. Moving on to the first hearing of the public, and apparently because of the special meeting, there's only one hearing of the public. So you have 3 minutes to speak. The floor is yours. Please write your name on the.
Hi, Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. I'll try and make this quick because I know you all want to get out of here. Well, first of all, good to see you, Mary, up there. Congratulations. Secondly, I know you're just kind of approving different, I don't know what it's called, the capital, whatever it is. I just had a question because part of this is regarding the third phase of 9 Mile reconstruction from Tuscany to I-94. And it's saying that we've received a federal earmark of $4.3 million. I was just wondering if that's tied to any specific design of the road for 9 Mile for the third phase. I know they are talking about doing a road diet on that phase, and we had already had plans, I believe, drawn up for 5 lanes on that phase. So I just didn't know if this money is specifically for one of those plans, or does that amount change if we go with the road diet as opposed to not the road diet. We really haven't had a lot of information at City Council as far as how far along we are with the decision for the road diet. I know we did a traffic study back in September that I had a lot of questions about. I did get a response from Mr. Kern on some of these questions, but I still have more questions because, in my opinion, the traffic study shows that there's really not a significant improvement in safety, and in some areas there's a little decrease in safety. So I know I'm not supposed to ask questions, but if that could be addressed, what this money is going for, if it's just 9 Mile in general, or if it's specifically for one design or another. And that's it. Thank you, and hope you have a good night.
Thank you. All right, jumping into new business. Item A, review and recommendation of capital improvement plan. Mr. Kern, if you would be able to address the residents' concern as well.
Yep.
You're on deck.
I can do that. Thank you, commissioners. Good to see you. Ryan Kern with Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick. here again to present the update to the capital improvement plan, or the infrastructure maintenance plan, as we're now calling it. This is basically a 6-year outlook on the infrastructure projects that are planned or potentially to be planned within the next 6 years, just to get an idea of what we have coming up. And I got this split up into the 4 different funding sources that we look at: the major street fund, the local street fund, and then water, and then sanitary sewer. I'll start with the major street fund. City's been fortunate for several years now to get federal aid assistance on several reconstruction projects of major streets. The last few years, we've reconstructed Topher from David to Kelly. We've done the first phase of 9 Mile from the west city limits to Gratiot. There's been sections of Stevens that have been done recently, Kelly Road. So there's been quite a bit of federal aid assistance that has come Eastpointe's way in order to do full reconstructions on major streets. We have a couple more projects coming up that the city is getting federal aid assistance for. One being the next phase of 9 Mile from Gratiot to Tuscany, which will be starting this March. 81.85% of the construction cost is being covered under federal aid assistance, with the city matching that with Act 51 funds that the city receives every year from the state. That project has been bid and awarded. ML Chartier is the contractor, and they plan on starting the storm sewer work here this March and finishing. They expect to finish that project in August, and that is going to be a 5-lane reconstruction from Gratiot to Tuscany. The third phase will be constructed in 2026. The city got a federal earmark of $4,380,000 to assist with that project. It is going to be administered through MDOT. That money is just it's general to the project. There's nothing specific that's tied to that money. It's just going towards the full reconstruct of that project. And that's from Tuscany to I-94. We're still in the design phase of that. We're currently working with MDOT and SEMCOG, reviewing the traffic study that was done. They're currently reviewing it and are supposed to get back with us here in the next week or two to try to set up a meeting with us, and they'll give their results, whether the city can move forward with a road diet project or not. So we should have an answer within the next couple of weeks of how we're going to proceed with that, so that we can finish the design and get through the whole MDOT process of approving that project so that it can be constructed in 2026. The city's also getting federal aid assistance to do some concrete patching along Hayes Road from Stevens to 10 Mile in 2026. We'll be working on the design of that this year. $539,600 is what's expected in that project as well. In addition, recently, the city was able to get an earmark through the state to reconstruct 10 Mile from Hayes to Phlox, a $3 million earmark. There'll be no cost to the city to that. That is a county road. We'll be working with the county on that. The county would be the one designing that, as that's their right of way. Any costs beyond the $3 million would be borne by the county. And then we do have, also on 10 Mile, a future project scheduled for 2028 that would be a heavy rehabilitation, basically a major milling and resurfacing of the existing surface from Phlox to Kelly that we've been working with the Macomb County Department of Roads on. And it appears that that's going to be approved and put on the transportation improvement plan to be done in 2028, roughly a $4.82 million project. With that, both the cities of Eastpointe and Roseville would have a match, as well as the county funding portion of that project. That's getting 81.85% as well through federal aid assistance, and then that match would be spread out between Macomb County, the city of Eastpointe, and the city of Roseville. In addition, every year the city does spend Act 51 money on joint sealing and pavement markings. We did a joint sealing program on major streets last year. We typically do that every 3 years, so in 2027, 28 would be the next year that we would do a joint sealing program on the major streets. Moving into the local streets. Going back to the joint sealing program, we do, the years that we don't do major street joint sealing, we cover the local streets. So the next 2 years we'll be doing a joint sealing program on local streets, and we budgeted $150,000 per year to complete that. We've also, back in 2018, started an annual pavement patching program that addresses the fair-rated streets by doing concrete patching on basically removing and replacing defective panels of streets and trying to save those streets and extend the useful design life of those streets so that they're not further deteriorating into a poor rated street to where it would require a full reconstruction, which could cost 3 or 4 times the amount versus going in there and doing some patching. It's been a pretty successful program. We divided the city into 13 districts with the intent to do 1 district per year, and we're ahead of the game on that. Say in 2018, we started with District 1, which was in the southwest corner of the city, and basically we started between 8 Mile and Topher, going west to east, and then we're zigzagging through the city. We've addressed every street south of 9 Mile at this point, and this year started north of 9 Mile at the west side of the city. We were able to get to a couple streets east of Gratiot, so this next year we'll be focusing on streets between 9 Mile and Stevens, east of Gratiot, and see how far we can get with the $700,000 that we budget for each year on that. We also apply for community development block grant funding for local streets, and we've been successful in that in the past, getting $150,000 towards each project with Act 51 local funding, matching those programs. This coming year, we've got 2 projects that are going to be done. We're going to be reconstructing Wilmot Street from Stevens to Semra, doing a full reconstruct, and then we're also going to be doing concrete patching on Nevada from Topher to Ash. And we're in the process of applying for projects for next year. Next year's projects, we're looking at the reconstruction of Lexington from 9 Mile to Semra and doing patching on Phlox, basically from Bellevue School to 10 Mile. Those streets with community development block grant funding, there's certain areas of the city that are eligible. It's based on income levels. There's certain areas of the city that are eligible for those funds. Those funds aren't eligible everywhere throughout the city.
Mr. Kern, what year was that Phlox patching?
We're applying for 2026.
Okay. It's good to know.
Basically with that, so we can apply for up to 2 projects per year, and typically we get at least 1 project per year, and then if there's enough funding available to spread through the communities that have applied, then they'll award a second project. So it may or may not happen in 2026. If it doesn't happen in 2026, we'd probably apply in a future year.
I'm sure Senator Kleinfeld would appreciate softer roads when she goes to Lansing by way of Phlox.
And then we do have $1 million set aside every 3 years for street improvement projects, whether it be restructuring or reconstruction or resurfacing. Again, with the Act 51 funding that the city receives is not near enough to do, the capital improvement projects that need to be done on the streets. So we'll try to use as much as we can. This year, this fiscal year, going to be reconstructing Ash from Kelly to Beaconsfield. We just had the bid opening for that last week, and it came in $200,000 under the budget. So that was pretty good news there, but we will be doing that. That'll be starting here this spring. Moving into the water projects. We have done quite a few water main replacement projects here in the last few years through the Drinking Water Revolving Fund program. The Phase 1 project we replaced the water main on southbound Gratiot from 8 to 9 Mile. We replaced water main on Beechwood. We've also replaced water main on Birchwood and Furwood in the last couple of years, and we've done some lead service replacements under that program on Tuscany. And there's about 100 lead services on Tuscany that was included in that program. That project is complete. We got a 20-year loan, low interest loan. I believe it was at 1.85% interest. So over a period of 20 years, we have a payback on that, an annual payment on that. We've just started the next phase of the Drinking Water Revolving Fund Replacement Program, which involves the rest of Gratiot, basically. So northbound Gratiot from Topher to 10 Mile, and then southbound Gratiot from 9 to 10 Mile. Those projects will complete all of the water main replacements along Gratiot. Those were the oldest mains in the city. They were put in roughly between 1926 and 1929. Those are large diameter mains, 18 and 24-inch mains. They come from the main feed from Detroit at 8 Mile and Gratiot. So by the end of this summer, all the water mains along Gratiot will be replaced, which I know the city's been looking forward to having that done. There's also several residential streets as part of that project. We finished Brittany Street just before Christmas. We replaced Brittany Street from 9 Mile to Stevens, which also included 102 lead water service replacements. There's still some vegetative restoration that needs to be done in the spring since we ran out of time with the winter, but we have 5 other residential streets that are going to be done under that program. That was a $15.5 million project. The city was able to get $8.6 million in federal grant money for that as well. And then we also had a $900,000 loan that we got through the state, and then the rest of that is being funded through the Water and Sewer Fund. The biggest project probably that city was fortunate to get, and thanks to Senator Kleinfeld, the city got a $10 million earmark to do lead water service replacements. We roughly had 2,300 lead services that needed to be replaced located throughout the city. We started that program last April. We had 2 contractors originally started on the project. We've gone down to 1 contractor here as of a couple months ago, but we have replaced almost 2,000 of those lead services to date. The city is well ahead of most cities in the state with completing that. The EPA requires that all those lead services be replaced by 2034. So we're several years ahead of that deadline. We expect to have all the lead services replaced by this summer, basically. And it looks like we're probably down to about 150 to 200 services left to do. And then we've got some placeholders here for future water main replacement projects in 2027 all the way through 2031 with $1 million to $1.5 million budget. Also in here with the 3rd phase of the 9-mile project, we're also looking at replacing the water main on 9-mile from Tuscany to Kelly also. That'll happen this winter as well. The water main from Kelly to 94 is a newer main that was installed maybe 15 years ago or so that we don't have to worry about that section. And then on the sewer side, last year we finished doing a citywide sewer cleaning and televising program that started back in 2021. So we cleaned and televised the entire city's sanitary sewer system, which is over 93 miles of sewer. And we went through and reviewed all of the video from that and rated basically all the structural defects that we found, 1 through 5, 1 being a minor defect, to 5 being a critical defect that needs to be addressed. And we've prioritized those, and we've started doing some rehabilitation of those sewers. A couple years ago, we started with basically, we split the city into 5 maintenance districts over time over that program. So the first maintenance district, we addressed the critical locations of rehabilitation 2 years ago. We spent about $1.5 million on that. We have $750,000 budgeted for the next several years, each year, to do additional rehab. We're in the process of doing the second rehabilitation program right now, which is addressing sewers roughly between 8 and 9 mile between Gratiot and Kelly. And we'll continue to get through the city to address those critical locations. We've also been trying to obtain grants and state revolving fund loans to basically increase the amount of sewer rehab that we're doing so that there's a lot of sewer rehab that needs to be done. Again, we've got an older infrastructure. Of course, people don't see the need there with it being underground, but there are several sewers that are in pretty poor condition where either a rehabilitation program needs to take place, either putting a sewer liner and lining through the sewer to extend the useful life of the sewer, or do a sectional repair, removal, and replacement of the sewer. We are anticipating to apply for a state revolving fund loan again this year. Hopefully we're successful in that, but applying for over $5 million in sewer rehab work through that loan program. That'd be similar to the drinking water revolving fund loan, where it'd be a 20-year low interest loan. And there's the potential of getting loan forgiveness or grants through that program as well. And then we've also budgeted for $250,000 per year for catch basin repairs, just random catch basins that are failing throughout the city as well. We did start that program this year. We've addressed some of those here this past fall, and we'll continue to do so next year. That's basically, those are the projects that we have noted for the next 6 years, and I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I just have a couple questions. One, do we have a map of like the critical areas? Just out of curiosity, I guess.
For the sewers?
Yeah.
We
And,
do, that is something I could provide, yes.
and I couldn't remember what the districts were. I was trying to go back through my old stuff and remember which areas were what districts, and I totally couldn't remember or find anything.
We started, District 1 was basically everything west of Gratiot. So we started towards the 10-mile in Gratiot area and worked southwest of Gratiot in 2021 and 22. And then from there, we started from 8 mile east of Gratiot and kind of zigzagged our way up. And this past year finished between Stevens and 10, working from Gratiot east. We have that map too, we could provide too, to show how that was done.
Okay, and then this is probably a weird question, but, so with the sewer cleanings, like I have a sewer right in front of my house, on the block, and the foul odor that it emits is insane. When you clean the sewers, should that get taken care of, or like, what causes that? I'm assuming it's gases and,
So the majority of the city is on a combined sewer system, which is the sanitary and the storm, are within the same system, basically. The northeastern part of the city has been separated, where there's separate sanitary and storm sewers. So it's very possible in the combined sewer area, you could get that odor. When we have installed traps in catch basins throughout the city too, that basically are there to eliminate the odor. And anytime we do an improvement project, we do install those traps in most of the catch basins so that you're not having that odor. But that, particularly on a summer day, that's sometimes present.
oh, it's horrific.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
With reference to the major street infrastructure, and you were saying that you got a grant to do the 5-lane reconstruction on 9 Mile. Okay, so you have this money for the 5-lane reconstruction. However, on the other token, you're looking or you're considering doing the diet. My question to you would be, if they decide to do the diet, okay, do you lose the funds for the 5-lane reconstruction?
We don't, until we meet with MDOT here in the next couple of weeks, we don't have that answer. My understanding is no. If everyone is acceptable to the road diet, we can move forward with the road diet. We would not lose that federal funding.
So the federal funding would then be applied to the road diet?
Correct.
Okay, so now let's ask another question. If you do the construction, and you utilize those funds, and then they decide to move forward with the diet after you have done the 5-lane reconstruction, will you then be just destroying what you have done?
You're saying if we move forward with reconstructing the last phases of 5-lane, that would be the end. I mean, if that's how we proceed, if
And
we
that would
proceed
end
with
it
a
at that
5-lane project, that's how it's gonna be.
That's how it would
Correct,
be.
yeah. We're not gonna, we wouldn't start constructing until we have a definite answer as to which way we're gonna go.
Also, with reference to the water distribution system. So since we are ahead now, you say we've already done 83% of that. I think you answered the question when you were speaking, but I may have just overlooked it. You said you intend to be complete by 2020, this year, actually,
Yeah.
instead of 2026.
Right, the earmark, we have until September of 2026, I believe it is, to use that earmark, but we will complete that well ahead of that deadline.
So is there what's the benefits or what's the perks in completing that early? Are they going to give Eastpointe,
Basically, removing the lead out of the system, that's basically.
that's the only
okay.
perk? That would be great. That would be great. Okay.
Anybody have any other questions? I'm just happy for my suspension on flocks at the end of 26. All right. Mr. Myers, do you have anything for Mr. Kern?
I do not. He's done a great job. We have a great history. We have a great plan going forward. And due to the modern days of financing government, we've got some support that we wouldn't have had prior to 2015. And that's a great access to helping the city improve and develop its future.
Mr. Albright, I'm assuming we should just make a motion to recommend sending this to City Council for their approval?
Yes, it would be a recommendation to City
Okay.
Council, yes.
I'll make a recommendation that we send it to city council for approval.
Do we have motion? Do we have support?
I'll support it.
Nope. Mr. Stokes got to you. We have motion, we have support. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Sasek?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall Rayford?
Yes.
Ms. Moody?
Yes.
Ms. Julinski, yes. Chairman DeHunt?
Yes. Moving on to commissioners' comments. We're going to start with you, Mrs. Ulinski.
Ms.?
Ms., sorry, I was channeling Walt for a minute there.
Anna? I really don't have anything, other than congratulations to my Buckeyes.
Oh,
Who
sorry.
did that?
Go Ohio.
OH. So yes, congratulations to them. Welcome and congratulations to Mrs. Hall Rayford. Great to have you on the panel. Looking forward to getting this going.
Ms. Moody?
Well, I really don't have anything other than to say congratulations, Ms. Hall Rayford, for joining us. I really want to say thank you to Ryan. Good job here. I was reading through it, and I look forward to all of the work that the city is going to do, especially with our water system, because a couple of weeks ago, I called DPW because out of the clear blue sky, I just started getting brown water, but there had been no lines or anything broken in my area, so I'm just hoping that once all of this is done, all of the residents here in Eastpointe will no longer be bogged down with brown water or unsure of anything. So thank you for your work, and other than that, I'm good.
Mr. Albright?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome Commissioner Hall Rayford to the Planning Commission. That's it, thank you.
Mr. Stokes?
Same welcome, Ms. Hall Rayford, to the commission, and good to see everybody.
Mrs. Hall Rayford?
Well, thank you. I feel like I'm with family, primarily because Mr. Stetson was served with the CBA, and I've known the rest of you for some time, so thank you for the warm welcome. I'm sure we'll do great things, and you'll pinch me when I'm in wrong.
Don't pitch people.
And we're never wrong, we're just sometimes incorrect with some information.
Oh, and I'm sorry. When you started attendance, the roll call, I wasn't expecting to hear my name first. So I was like, what? I know. I was like, what? Okay, I'm sorry.
Mr. Sasek?
I also would like to welcome Mrs. Hall Rayford to the commission. I'm really looking forward to working with you and everybody else, as I said before. Mr. Myers and Mr. Kern both, I really appreciate everything you're doing to help move our city forward as well. It's really, really important. So thank you very much. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Mr. Kern, do you have anything?
I am good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Welcome, Ms. Hall Rayford. I don't think I ever call you Hall Rayford. It's so formal.
It sounds
I know.
awkward to me.
So welcome. We don't always agree on things, but we agree that the city goes forward, and we need to do the best for the city that we can. I had an experience at the McDonald's this week, and I got to share this. There is the sweetest little girl there, and that McDonald's on 9 Mile has questionable service skills. But her name is Sade. She's this little bitty thing, and she is the sweetest person, and she gives you the fist bump, and she's pleasant, and she's cheerful. And I put something in Facebook, and that god-awful residents group actually did not turn violent and vicious like they normally do. So, you know what? If somebody's doing something good, say something. So, I do have one bit of housekeeping that I'm just going to throw out there, and hopefully Mr. Myers can put it in the back of his hat that we can correct. That being the faux pas from the October meeting that was presented to City Council, because it still drives me absolutely insane. So if you can make sure that faux pas gets fixed with City Council, that would be wonderful. And with that, I'm actually going to tip the hat to you, and you can close it out.
Thank you. Welcome again. I don't know if you know this yet, but I'm biased. This is the most exciting commission you could possibly choose to be a member of. And it's probably the most exciting year to be on this board and this commission. To answer your question, that is already underway. We think we have most of it resolved. We now need to bring it back to council and make things right at that level with the October 3. And we've made those corrections. We found another error somewhere else, and we're going to correct both of them at the same time. And I think that'll be of help. Just for some of you have questions from what we're doing, and you've seen some adjustments, to publicly answer, the gravel parking lot is back in war with us, and we're at battle to clear that up. We have two more things in our arsenal to play. We'd like to believe that a citation and violating our ordinance for parking on gravelled illegal use after we gave them a planning commission approval site plan will be enough for them to redirect their plans and behavior. If not, we'll be meeting with the city attorney and addressing one of the two options for clearing that parking lot pretty quickly. So we'll take a look at that in this next coming week, seeing how they respond to our citation options. Number two, the demolition company will be meeting with me on Monday for the Big Boys program and project. They felt my acceptance and my tolerance to what was going to be allowed to be left as a vacant property or vacant lot for the near foreseeable future until site plan approval comes back to you for the next building that goes there. So between my concerns and DPW's concerns, they'll have to sit and answer us in a very short order of time to get that corrected to my satisfaction. So we haven't left that, we haven't lost that off the table. So those are two big ones. We're back at a slight conundrum with prime storage, and hopefully that will be resolved in a meeting next Wednesday. And let's see if we can move that issue forward. We're asking him to complete your request in site plan review on the back of the property of the building that they have presently been granted a temporary C of O. They have not moved forward on any of those three items, and I'm tired of waiting, and I don't know if we have to wait any longer, so we're going to pursue getting a response from them, hopefully next Wednesday in a meeting with them on Wednesday morning. That gives you an update on those kind of things. There's a subject I'd like to just put on the table for you. This is the year that we get ready for the master plan. You'll be excited about this one. Ryan, myself, and DPW met with the builders and designers of the quad building that we've given approval to. If their paperwork is finished by Monday morning, they'd like to start next week. But between all of ours, what we've done for the first time in a few seasons, I guess, we have put back together a program called pre-construction that the engineers, the DPW, and myself need to sit in a meeting with the builders so they know what has to be done, by who gets to oversee it, and what the fee structures are going to be designed. So every new building coming forward in the future has a clear cut line and nobody has any questions because we've met before they build. If they get to start by February 1, their goal will be finishing the entire complex project of building and occupants in 27 days. So how exciting that will be.
Oh my goodness.
And I think it's a pilot for this city of what can come in the future. I did some extra stretching for this, just so you know, and they were willing to comply. I wanted their state approval, so we made them take all their drawings of this modular design structure to the state and get their approved seal on all the site plan designs. So we're not playing it just with our cards. We got the support out of the state level plan reviewers on this new design that we haven't used in this city. And so I think that's a positive all the way around. Again, they'd like to be ready to open doors within 27 days after they start.
Awesome.
So that's the exciting news, but that's the beginning of our building season early. And we have another few on the doors, and we'll continue to keep you updated where they are. But this is the year we open up, I believe, on January 30th is the opening day for RFPs for our master plan review. In other words, whoever is applying to do the master plan. I want to share my concern about an issue, and I hope you take it with the sincerity and kindness that I'm presenting. This master plan is really a launching platform this time around for the 2040s design. What is the city going to be and look like in 2040, 15 years from now? But what we have to do is build a foundation of this master plan, not by redesigning the map. We did that with the modern day system in 2019. We did a form-based model. We did road mapping. We did design mapping. We put 3 overlays in this last map. We added residential density in several districts in the city. So now it's a question of how do we grow the city? The word I'm going to use technically is how do we revitalize it better than it is now in 5 years. So in 5 years, much stronger can we make it? They're doing their part in building a better infrastructure for us, and that's been proven. Now it's our time to go out and build a better structure of housing, people, population, education, and businesses. And that's what this master plan, once we build it, we get to have a chance to have a very strong platform for the future, if we build it this way well. So this training time, this opportunity, and your commission is so exciting and vital to me. The concern I have, though, is this. If we get a really vibrant opportunity to address master planning for revitalizing the whole city, not just the business district, but the whole city, we have to answer questions like this. How high can we develop and design the household medium income? Today, they tell us our income average is $59,000. How can we get that to a higher number? What number would that be? And how do we get there? Number two, how do we get more families to move into the city that have educational school-age kids in our own houses, filling our own schools first? How do we get that population? Number three, how do we take all of our vacant businesses and lower the number of vacancies and replace them with, this is an important phrase, vitalized, effective local businesses? Not just running circles around and chasing poor inefficients and they have to close it. Really vitalized. How do we lower our vacant business districts effectively? And then number three, how do we support a very plan for our seniors? If we are right on the numbers, roughly 30% of our population is been retired with one single income base for 10 to 12 years before the inflation rate goes. How do we help them keep their houses stable in this master plan while they make final decisions and where they are and how they're going to live? So I am excited about creating a retirement village system that gives us a chance to take low mod in our own community and giving them a place to stay home and stay in the area. But those kind of questions are tough to answer. Here's my concern. If we do not have a long-term city planner, what we don't have once we write the plan is somebody strong enough, vested in our city, not to see what the plan is, but to implement a program to make it successful. These guys in the engineering wrote the program, designed it, went out and got the money, and then implemented the successful production of our lead-based program ahead of time. When we get to the master planning, that viable planner will be the one who will help you and I, as a commission and a city, actually put all the vision into successful production. And if we do, there won't be ability for any one person or group to blow it all up and turn our ways backwards. Because if we can grow stronger in academics, if we can grow stronger in households, if we can go stronger in communication and community, if we can go stronger for our schools to be required to improve themselves because of a population that is in the city, not out from the city, how much better are we? The concern I have is if we could go in-house with our planner, we could have someone that is vested just in our issues, like we have in our engineers, to concentrate on our issues, find the resource, find it, and implement a solution. And then in 5 years, we won't be wondering how many of our master plans we missed, because this year, we're going to build a foundation for growing a healthier, stronger city. We have the design in our maps. They haven't changed. Our population size haven't changed. How do we change the population right now from 34,000 in 5 years to 40,000? What's the design? We already have it in our map. How do we plan it with you and a city planner to see that it strengthens the city going forward? I'm concerned that without a city planner on board for a long period of time, we may not get that kind of production going forward over the next 5 years. That's my argument, is who's going to help us implement the programs that we design in the 5-year program, other than someone who's sharing their resources with some other sources. We need someone that can give us full attention to these really large problems. If they're working underground, we need to work above ground. My job, your job is to make this city, here's the phrase, here's the swearing oath, healthy, safe, and well for the entire wellness of the city. We have 16,000 plus parcels, businesses as well as residentials. How do we improve it so that in 5 years, we're a stronger city by people, by economics, by population, by standard of school kids, by standard of better businesses established in our city? That's my concern. Thanks for giving me a minute to share my heartbeat as we get into the master plan. What could we do better if we had somebody sitting in this chair that's inside the city, working, thinking, and dreaming from your table to her office or his office on a daily basis, year after year, for the next 5 years? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Now that Ms. Holmes is actually in attendance, unofficially, I have a request. When we do jump into the master plan, we need to find a way to engage our residents in a far better fashion than we did the last go-round. And it needs to be in smaller, manageable chunks versus, I think Sheila and I are the only ones that remember that torment of, what was that, 5, 6 years ago? The endless meetings.
The what?
Yeah. So if we can find a way to have better community engagement, I think that would be critical. So that was my last jump in. All right, with that, can I get a motion to close the meeting? Nope.
No, can I interject with a couple
Okay, fine.
questions for Mr. Myers? I'm sorry, I thought about this when you were giving us the updates. One, I guess, let me back up a little bit. I guess the question would be, how are you going to keep a city planner here for that long?
It's all about giving them a reason to stay here because they're being successful at making your plans beneficially strong. When someone believes they have a reason to improve your community, their neighborhood, you don't have any reason to go anywhere else because you're being successful right where you are. And that's what we have to do. We have to give them all the reason in the world, open the door for them to be creative. We'll give them the boxes to build from. Now they have to build outside of those boxes. Remember, the key to changing the 5 cultures I just named isn't how much money we can throw at it. It's how many relationships we can build. And the problem is, it's not about getting contacts with everybody else. Their ability to get money out of the state is the relationships they have with those boards that they can address. They know the people knows them, and they can build it. If we have someone who can help us build relationships at the state, at the local, at the Wayne County, and at the development companies, we'll have a strong person that'll continue to give us better developers, better financial resources, and better relationships, because we're not building it on a contract, we're building on a one-on-one relationship. They'll stay for that for a long time.
All right, here's to that. And on the updates, I just have a question on the 2 parcels that we're going to do medical marijuana. I mean, the old Rex's Deli on Kelly by 8 Mile, it's just becoming more and more of an eyesore.
You just don't see the inside. I'm in it every week. I won't let them go any further until they see it. They have a couple issues they don't want to deal with. We will not let them break our zoning codes at this point because they'd like to take the side of the building that you can't see yet because there's some other building there, but they're supposed to have windows on the 8 Mile side of that building, and they'd like to get rid of it because they're saying it'll cost them too much money. Saying they can't do it because they have to have security. And I've now met with their builder, their architect, and the owner 3 times. And I said, until you can give me a legal document in architectural, you don't get to go anywhere but where we agreed. If the planning said this is where you got to go, then you better find out how to build the windows and build the structures and build the security at the same time. Because the state won't let you change your design just for safety. You'll have to build your design into the safety. So they're already well underway. Most of their steel structured building walls are inside are already built. They're working from the inside out, so they're well underway. Just so you know, as of tomorrow, the marijuana facility that's on Gratiot, yep, that address will begin their building construction project. They'll be starting by putting fencing up, And then they pulled their permit. They've been fighting with me for some time, and I said, you don't get to go anywhere until I see the money on the table and the contractor's at my meeting. So once they're here, we're gonna have next week another pre-construction meeting, and that building will be underway, getting its renovation as well.
Can they at least take down the old canvas that is just,
Yes, they have a deadline by me. I think it's the 4th of February that it must be removed and cleaned up. The bigger question they have, which they're trying to dance around, is when are they going to remove the oil machine building? They have that building on the corner. That has to go away. So that's the one they don't want to take down right now, but they have to remove it before I give them a C of O. They have that oil company.
yeah, that's still
Oil.
operating, correct?
It is,
Yeah.
barely, but they still have to remove it before I'll grant them a C of O. Because that's where they agreed to put the park, that's where they agreed to put the garden facility, and that's where they're gonna have to give me a phase 1, phase 2 soil sample that is gonna be done once they close the door. They're saying, no, we already did it, not if they're still pumping gas and oil. So get it done, stop, and then we can, as engineers, we can go ahead and make a plan for what that new test looks like.
Thank you.
Yes. They asked me if I gave you the big boy update. They have to meet with me on Monday and know what they have to do to correct it. They have to correct a water supply, redig, and they have to remove the debris because they cheated. They tried to put backfill of debris back in the ground and act like we wouldn't notice. And then they left piping on the top surface sticking out of the ground, and they can't do that either. So, yeah, they failed our exam. We'll keep on top of them until they get it.
Since this is the John Myers question and answer, I have a question. Can you, for the 3 people that might be watching, can you just give a pie in the sky hope of what you would like to see at Big Boy? Because I know that has been.
We anticipate a 3-story building. We anticipate the bottom having 1 drive-through, as long as it stays outside of our zone of 1,000 feet from the next nearest drive-through. Other than that, we anticipate 3 retail businesses to be white boxed out before they finish. I will not accept the tolerance of the storage facility where they said, we built the bottoms, we're gonna try to find someone to come in, but they're gonna have to put the 12,000 or 15,000 or 20,000 to box it out. And they're using, but because we agreed not to know what they're gonna do, we will not do that with this building. They'll have to white them out, they'll have to box them out, and then let the company that comes in modify that white box to whatever business they're operating in. So we anticipate 3 stories, 1 commercial businesses on the bottom. It'll be 10 feet off the sidewalk as our zoning requires. And then we'll look at 2 stories of units. And right now, it's in the discussion that part of it would be condominium and part of it would be rental, so that we could bring a different level of 2 different types of people that would be permanently living in this facility. So it's looking not 4 stories, but a minimum of 3. And we won't go away from anything less than that. Right now, they're looking at creative ways to have funding support. And that's where an in-house planner begins to have relationships across all the different categories, and we can get those kind of supports much easier going forward instead of using a third party.
Thank you. All right, now let's get a motion to close the meeting. We have a motion. Do we have support?
Support.
Secretary, please call the roll.
I'm gonna let Mary have it.
Okay.
Ms. Moody?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall Rayford?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Sassick?
Yes.
Ms. Julinski, yes. Chairman DeHunt?
Yes.